Hi, hello, this is Clémentine from At Books with Clémentine. You're gonna have to forget my hairdo, which is up and very tight, because we are yet in another heat wave here in France, and it's bound to keep doing that every week or two, apparently for the foreseeable future. But anyway, today, for me, is the French National Day. This is July 14th, which is our celebration of France, as it is the anniversary of this first revolution that we had. With the heat wave, a few of the things were cancelled, but we've had some celebrations, and I thought it was fitting to talk about my French heritage on this day of all days. So today we're going to do the Languages and Cultures book tag. So let's get into it. Question number one: what languages do you speak, and what languages would you like to learn to speak? So I am bilingual. My first language is French. This is my mother tongue. And I've lived in the US for next 10 years. I'm now back in France, but I've also worked with Japanese, Swedish, a lot of different cultures. So I've talked English a lot because of it. So I would say at this point that I am bilingual in both French and English. I've learned Spanish in most of my schooling, and I do have some family who is Spanish. I also think that French and Spanish are really close together, so I still can understand Spanish pretty well. However, speaking it is another thing. I really struggle with that. I think I struggle finding the words when I speak because I haven't practiced in a long time. I think the last time I was in Spain, I was 20 years old. So it's been over 15 years now. I would like to certainly practice it more. I think I would love to go to Spain soon and just immerse myself in the language again. However, the question was, what languages would you like to learn to speak? I do love when I travel to learn a few words of every language, but the one language I wanted to learn when I was younger was Russian, and I never did. And at this point, I think I never will, but I was intrigued with that language for sure. Number two, what books do you own that are written in a different language? Since I am French, I do have a few books in French. You can see here in all the TBR that I actually have a lot of books in French. I can show you the prettiest one, this one. This is in French, and I'm hoping to read it sometime soon. This is supposed to be a cozy fantasy with this tiny baby dragon here and some other bigger dragons, I guess. But anyway, yes, I have a lot of books in French, obviously. I do have a couple books in Spanish back when I thought I could read in Spanish. However, it's a lot harder for me to do that. So I give them to my dad to read because he's a lot more fluent than I am. But maybe one day I'll come back to them. Number three, translate the first sentence of one of your favorite books to a different language and try to read it out loud. I am terrible at doing translations from English to French or French to English. I think it's a very difficult thing to do. I wanted to take this one, but I think the sentence is not super interesting. The book is amazing, but I think the sentence is not super fun to translate. So I'm gonna do one of my favorite novels that is a classic, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is my beat up copy that I have here. I have another prettier copy, Barnes & Noble edition, back in storage, but this is the copy I reread a few times, and I do love it. And I have actually highlighted a bunch of it, however, I never finished, so I should do that one day. But anyway, so the first sentence is, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." And the official translation would be, "C'est une vérité universellement reconnue qu'un célibataire pourvu d'une belle fortune doit avoir envie de se marier." It might be cheating because I took the actual translation. So even if it is less interesting, I will still do the first sentence of this one as a translation because this is my favorite ever book in terms of modern books. So the first sentence in the original language is, "Oh dear," Linus Baker said, wiping the sweat from his brow. This is most unusual. And I think I would translate with, "Oh mon Dieu," Linus Baker disait, essuyant la sueur sur son front. Ceci est très singulier. Probably not the best translation. Yes, I translated oh dear by oh my god because I don't think we interject that way in French anyway, and I don't know what else I would say instead. I think I spent long enough with discussion, so let's get back to it. 4. Translate the title of the book you're currently reading to a different language and try to read it out loud. I think it is funnier to change up the language a little bit. So let's try and butcher another language, I say. So, the books I am reading right now, because I'm reading several at the same time always, I've been reading for months, but I finally returned to it. Our Lady of Blades by Sébastien de Castel. This is without the dust jackets. This is here. I just started also a buddy read of Fries Married to a Salted Fish, Volume 2, and the last one I started a few days ago, King of Scars by Lee Bardugo. So let's try. I think this one I will do in French. Fries Married to a Salted Fish, Marié 3 fois un poisson salé. I'm not a translator, as I said. Our Lady of Blades. In Spanish, maybe? And then I can do King of Scars in Russian just for funsies. My pronunciation will be terrible, I promise you, because I never learned any Russian at all. Google Translate. There we go. I guess I didn't know the word for blade in Spanish ever, but Nuestra Señora de las Hojas. Yeah, I'm trying to do the H a little bit more than it needs to, probably. Nuestra Señora de las Hojas. And you're gonna say I'm cheating a little bit to do the easiest one in the language I never understood before. I will put the writing there, and is King of Scars is Korol Shlamov? Maybe? Sorry for the mispronunciation of it, but these are books I am currently reading. Okay, I apologize. Several hours have passed since I did the last question, so there's probably a little bit of an angle change. And if I look maybe slightly different, that's because my microphone stopped working, so I have to refilm the last 2 questions. So we were on question number 5. What is your favorite book that takes place in a different country than you live in? So for this, I will choose Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Could have chosen also Persuasion. Those 2 books are my favorites by Jane Austen, and they're definitely some of my favorite books ever. Definitely my favorite classics, I would say. And they are set in England, and this is a country I actually never lived in. I just visited maybe 2-3 times, so not too much. And I'd love to visit again. And question number 6, last but not least, try to end the video in a different language. Use Google Translate if needed. As I said before, I am French originally, so I actually will finish this video in French. I will put the captions down below for people who do not understand French. Merci d'avoir écouté cette vidéo. Je crois que c'était les dernières questions. C'est un peu bizarre pour moi de vous parler en français parce que d'habitude je vous parle en anglais, mais ça fait partie du tag de cette vidéo, donc on va continuer comme ça. J'adorerais savoir... It's so hard to speak in French like this. I have the words coming in English. Okay, let's do it again. J'adorerais savoir de votre côté quelles sont les langues que vous parlez. Donc s'il vous plaît, mettez tout ça dans les commentaires en dessous. Et si vous n'avez rien à dire, mais que vous voulez me montrer que vous étiez là, vous pouvez mettre le drapeau du pays d'où vous venez, peut-être en emoji, en commentaire, ou alors le drapeau d'un pays d'une langue que vous parlez. Vous pouvez en rajouter plusieurs si vous parlez plusieurs langues. Et avec ça, merci de m'avoir écouté encore. Je vais arrêter de bavasser. Je vais me remettre à lire et je vous dis à la prochaine. Au revoir!